Looking for a video on how to prime a LT1 and install an intake manifold? Then you're in the right place. In this video, we're going to take a look at how we made it happen. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Kevin again with Yarkit Racing. We are back in the garage again today for another one on the LT1 build series. Today we're going to be installing our oil pump drive shaft and priming the engine, and then final installing our intake manifold and throttle body, which will complete our LT1 build, and I am excited. I hope you guys are just as ready to see this thing making noise as I am. And man, like I said, I'm really excited for it, guys. So anyway, without further ado, we're going to jump right in. Give us a like down below if you're enjoying the video. Let's get it. All right. So now we're going to go ahead, we're going to move on. The next thing we got to do is actually get the oil filter on, put the oil in the system, and then we got to prime it. And make sure we got oil coming out of all of our passageways that we need it, and hopefully build some pressure. And then we'll be good to go. So I'm going to actually take this out, and I'm going to screw a pressure gauge into here so we can see it come up. Alright guys, so I made a little boo-boo actually when I was pouring it. I thought I had a leak back there at first. I'm hoping I don't. But when I started pouring it, apparently I was holding the bottle over this way, and it was leaking back off the bottom of the bottle and landing on this top rail and dripping down the back of the engine. Ugh. Not exactly what I was looking for on the first attempt at putting oil in this thing, but hopefully that was a fluke. Alright guys, that looks like a success there. We got oil to all of our rockers up here. See if I can take you down and show you. Looks like we got oil to all of them. Perfect. I think the gauge over here got up to about 45 psi. I don't think that tool is exactly the right one for this engine. The LT1, I guess the shaft must be a hair shorter in this or something than the tool is made for. It wants to keep trying to, it's grabbing but just barely enough to be able to spin it to a certain RPM. It takes quite a bit of force, I guess, to turn the pump with the oil in it and everything and build that kind of pressure. I think we'll see more once we get it on the car. Or once we get it in the car, get it running. I'm pretty sure we'll see more. That was 45, and that was on the drill speed, the first gear setting or whatever on the drill itself. So it wasn't even on the high speed setting for it, and it built 45 psi. So it looks like so far everything is pretty good. Pretty happy with where we're at with it. I'm gonna keep going. Pull that out now, and we're gonna get ready to set the intake manifold on this thing and get the throttle body up there. Let's keep going, guys. So, taking our oil pump drive shaft and a little piece of metal here, I'm going to make a plate that sits on top of this thing. They've been known to crack at times right here in this little area, and I'm going to put this plate on top. I got a suggestion off of another video from one of the viewers. It seemed like a pretty good suggestion was to take a flat piece of little steel put it down there, and then it just acts as a kind of bridge. So you bolt through it, and it will just basically let it not fall, like not let this push back up if it does crack the plastic. Alright, got our plate made. Just gonna cover that. Like I said, if it cracks, the plate will hold it down. Alright guys, so we got our intake gaskets put on. I like to put a dab of silicone under the four corners where the gaskets meet the channel wall. Now we're going to come back, we're going to put a bead on each end, and then we'll try to set our intake manifold up there, you know, being careful not to mess up the beads that we put on too bad. We want the beads to be just big enough to get a little squish out without being too much. The idea is not to have anything excessive, but we want it well covered. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. We also put, we're using this Permatex Ultra Black, and we're putting a little bit of it on the threads of our bolts too, just to seal up any kind of oil that might try to splash back and seep up through the threads or something. I don't, not getting carried away, but just putting a little bit up there. So anyway, here we go. I'll take you guys in, show you the beads there. Like I say, want to run it up the intake gasket about a ½ inch or so on each side. The back one. Alright, so like I said, the next step here is really important. We just want to be really careful that we're setting the intake down kind of straight down and pretty close to in place where we need it. Don't want to have to be sliding it back and forth a lot, trying to get it in the spot. So here we go. Alright, so far so good. I'm liking it. We're going to go ahead and start putting our bolts in. Gotta follow the proper torque sequence here. I'm gonna show you in the book. So that's what we gotta do. We'll go ahead and knock it out. Starting with, we have to do an initial pass at 71 inch-pounds. So I have the torque wrench set to 71 inch-pounds. Alright, so now that the 71 inch-pounds is done, we have to give it about an hour for the RTV to kind of tack up and set, and then we'll come back and we'll make our final pass at 35 foot-pounds. Alright guys, so we're back out here in the shop. It's been about an hour since we did the first torque sequence on it at 71 inch-pounds. Now we're going to run back through at 35 foot-pounds and lock it down. Alright, so we took just a little bit of petroleum jelly and spread it around the O-rings just to help make sure we got a good seal on those. Alright, time to get this thing to run. We'll clean this off a little bit. Trying to get too much down here on the sensor end. Alright guys, so the last thing we got to install here is the 58mm throttle body. We got that cleaned up just a second ago in the parts washer, so we're going to get ready to throw that on now. Alright, so we got our gasket laid back there just like that. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for the LT1 build. I appreciate everybody following along with the series. If you have from the beginning, thank you so much. Been a process for sure. Waiting on a lot of parts kind of slowed us down. Machine shop time slowed us down. But nevertheless, we're here at the end. It's ready to go back in the car. Pretty excited, man. It's been, like I said, it's been a road. So the next thing for the car we got to do is get the remote mount radiator and the rear mount radiator and remote mount water pump set up. We got to get all that figured out. We got some pieces already in for it, but we got a few key pieces left to get sorted on that. That's where we're at with the project. There again, I appreciate everybody following along with the channel. All the views and likes and comments, it really helps support everything we're doing here. Hoping to get this out to more people, so like and share below if you would, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.